We're live. Okay, guys, I'm back. Donny T and friends. I am so happy this evening. I have my real good friend, Jay Baker, here this evening. Okay. As I start off, I always say this is a no knock, no bash zone. You're going to step on toes, go somewhere else. Donny T, don't play that.
Good evening.
Good evening. This is my friend Jay Baker. Okay. I got to say, I love this man. He is a great guy. Jay, do me a favor. Tell them how we met.
Donny T, Matt Mishi, and I, thanks to Chris Flayhive, were given the opportunity to have an open mic at the Chelsea Yacht Club. It was great because it was located as to where we could have people come down from the South Shore, North Shore, and it's cheap drinks, and it's a beautiful environment in the nice weather. And it was our first night. Matt was in doing the technical stuff, which he always did.
Yeah.
And I was like setting chairs up out on the patio. And there's this guy out there, and he's got his little pad of paper out. And I said, "Hey, how you doing, buddy? What's your name?" And he goes, "I'm Donny T." And I went, "Well, hi, Donny T. I'm Jay Baker. It's nice to meet you." And I go, "You got your little notepad going?" Kind of talking to him like he was, a child. But it was cute that he was taking his notes. And he goes, "So what's going to happen here?" And I said, "Well, we have a good group coming in. And out of respect for all of the participants, we kind of limit it to 5 minutes. Here's where the story takes off." And throughout the evening, it was Don's turn to come up. And we called him up. And 5 minutes came and went. And 10 minutes came and went. And Matt's looking at me. And I didn't know what to do. And I'm waving at Don like, "You got to get off." And he waves back to me like I'm saying hello. The problem is he was the most amusing storytelling gentleman. He's got some great tales. And he must have gone on for 20 minutes, which is, as we all know, in any comedy environment is not the right thing to do. But after that night, his brazen ability to do that against our better wishes just showed that he's got gumption and he's got a lot to offer, and he's just the nicest guy going. So I'm very happy to be here with Don tonight. It's encroaching on my bedtime that I made fun about earlier. That if I doze off here, then that's okay. These lights are enough. They're very warming. I'm getting like radiation poisoning. This is like being on a studio lot in Hollywood. But
at least you could see him. If the lights were off, you wouldn't even see him.
Right. So anyway, that's how I met Donny T at the, as Don says, who would have thought that the Chelsea even had a yacht club? But they do. And like I said, thanks to Chris, it's a wonderful place to hang out. So anyway,
really
that's that with there. So
it really was.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah. Now, Jay and I have been friends for a while.
Yeah, that was 4 or 5 years ago, by the way, folks. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, that's about right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's when I started my 74 years old. I started my stand-up routine.
Yes, you did.
And it was very sobering. Let me say that.
To all of us, Don.
Yeah. Going up on that stage can be a mother, and that's only a half a word.
Right.
Oh, that's tough.
You look perfectly comfortable, Don. And
that's what I give off.
Yes.
But that's not what I feel inside.
Okay. So you were nervous.
Oh, I was.
And by the way, Don, the average age in that room that night was like 20 to 23 years old, excluding myself and Mish. But right.
Oh, we celebrate the same birthday, him and I.
Yeah, Donny T and I, both September 29th.
Yep.
Along with Sam Rossi's mom. Her name is Honey, and she's the 29th as well. Of course, Donny looks younger than I do, so there lies the true secret.
He keeps telling me I had work done.
Yeah, he's had work done, and he says he hasn't. He's had nip and tucks.
Yeah.
And he says he hasn't, but he's been in the chair, I think. But anyway, carrying on. It's a pleasure to be here. It's awful chilly out tonight, but Donny's got a great spot here, and the memorabilia is incredible about all the movies and the stars that he knows and the people. It kind of humbles you to think of everyone that he's met and seen, and here he is having this meathead Jay Baker on his podcast show.
Well, I need the money.
Yeah, he needs the money. I slipped him $5 for getting me on.
Yeah.
But, it's an absolute privilege.
These guys know better.
To be with him. And
And reaching out to my viewers, okay? These guys are my friends, Jay.
Of course.
They're not just viewers, they are my friends.
Okay.
I consider them part of my family.
Sure.
That's how I look at them, you know, I've been doing this for like a year now.
Well, very good.
And 1,000 times I wanted to quit.
Right.
And I never did. So I'm here for a reason.
Okay.
You and I have something in common.
What is that, Don?
You know what it is? What is your...
Our birthday.
No, not only that. What makes you feel good?
Helping others. I like helping other people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And me too. And you don't need money for that. Although it wouldn't be bad.
No, sometimes you do things out of the goodness of your heart,
Yeah.
you know, and that's not everything is about a buck.
No.
And you know, to roll back a little bit on I saw the podcast, I watched your podcast with Paul D'Angelo, and just to say right off the bat, what a privilege it is to be sitting in the chair where Paul D was.
Oh, please. He was fighting all night.
He's just an incredible guy. He's just a great
One
guy.
of the best.
And just to be associated with him is an incredible compliment.
That's how I feel.
Yeah.
Great guy.
Yeah. So.
You know what drives me crazy? I got to
Tell
say
me now.
this.
I'd love to know.
Anybody that goes for coffee, I have one of those Keurig things, and I do the little pods. They cost like 30 cents for a cup of coffee.
That's a good price now for those.
Yeah.
I just had a great cup of coffee. I don't want to interrupt. Don, that was a good cup of coffee, damn it.
Well, here's the thing. I do not like Starbucks. And
Ooh.
it drives me crazy. The price is there. They think they're giving out freaking turtle soup or something. You know?
Don, I don't like the prices, and I got a quick story. And I don't want to be interrupting you all night.
No. This time
My sister Carrie was not feeling well, and she said, Jay, there's a Starbucks down the street. Can you run and get me like a Frappuccino, cappuccino? I said, wait a minute. I got to grab my pen, and I got to write it down. And I go, what the hell is going on when the cup of coffee turns into this? And I get there, and I explain to the barista what I want. And I said, cappuccino, Frappuccino, latte. And they said $9.50. And I go, for $9.50, I should get Al Pacino. And I laughed. No one else laughed. But I thought that was hilarious.
That's because we're comedians.
You're a comedian.
No, we'll always be. You too,
right.
You know?
But no Starbucks. And I'm almost done with Dunkies. Because I now have become a fan of, am I allowed to say names?
Go ahead.
Cumberland Farms, $1.39 for a cup, iced or hot, equally as good. And if Dunkin's is going to ruin my coffee for $5.50, I'll mess it up myself for $1.39.
Guys,
and that's my theory.
I have a Dunkin'
Dunkin'
Donuts hack. Every Monday.
Yes, he does.
I go in there and they'll probably stop it after tonight. But, I get a medium Dunkin' Donuts iced coffee, right?
Yeah.
Because Mondays, I think they give you a free coffee or something. Right?
Yeah.
And I tell them, I buy coffee all week long. And all that money I spend, I think I deserve a free coffee on a Monday. So the last 3 Mondays I've gone in there and I got a free coffee. They're almost $4. I mean, Jesus Christ, that's crazy.
That's all we're going to end tonight if anyone in the Dunkin's community is watching.
Joey Solaro, my buddy. I'm doing fine, Joey. I hope you are as well. Chatting with Stacks.
Oh, well, you got people calling in.
Hey, Stacks, what's up, brother? Okay, Peter Martino.
This is like a request line, huh?
Yeah, Peter Martino's from Revere, right? He should have run for mayor of Revere. I got to tell you this. He is one of the most well-liked guys in the whole city of Revere. Peter, I love you, brother. Remember that, and I don't lie.
What about your boy Dan Rizzo in Revere?
You know what?
Dangerous Dan Rizzo.
No, here it is. You ready? Dan Rizzo was offered to come on my podcast, and he thought he was too good for it, I think. You know what?
Oh, no, that's not like Dan. He's a good guy. I've met Dan.
I'm not saying he's a bad guy, but he didn't realize it probably could have helped him. I would have let him come on 3 days in a row.
He could have reached 14 people.
I'm from Revere, and I know a lot of people.
Donny's proud. You see that? He's a proud Reverian. Is that what they call him?
I used to be. Yeah, I still love people in Revere, man. Times have changed.
Yeah.
I'm a project kid. Let's face.
That's all right. There's nothing wrong. I dated a girl for a long time from the Revere projects. That's where you find. That's where you get the best harvest.
Don't tell me her name. Whisper me.
I won't. I'm not going to tell you anyway. But yeah, Donnie and I were discussing over this podcast. I had the privilege of
Big G. Sorry, I missed you.
Big G.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No one I know. Someone that I know should chime in. Anyone, please.
Yeah. You said you had 1,000
ask me a
people.
question.
Let's see.
I have 1,000 people. I said I know 1,000 people. I don't even know if they know this. But no, a couple of weeks ago, I've been in the hospital for a couple of years, and there's people in my life I just got to give a quick thank you to, like Matt Mishy, obviously, because this all started. Matt and I have been friends long before any of this comedy business, and we were just tearing up Home Depot. Matt was on a roller coaster with divorces and family and things that life throws at you. But the story I tell about working with Matt at Home Depot is we treated it like an absolute circus. People were they would get mad because we were getting paid to have so much fun. And I remember one winter day, the store was empty, and Matt and I were just being madcaps. And this guy came in, and of course, Matt and I asked him, "What can we do for you, sir? What are you looking for?" And he said, I came in here for nothing other than to see you guys. And we're like, why? Did we do something wrong? Of course, we thought that we offended this man previously. And it was the best compliment Matt and I could have ever received. And he said, "No, I'm halfway to the house. I've had a horrible day at the office, and I'm about to go tackle the kids, the dog, the wife, and everything that's going on at home. And when I come in here, you two lighten my mood so much that now I feel the need just to stop in, spend a couple of minutes, laugh at you two clowns, and equal off a little bit, level off, as it were, so I can go home and manage the rest of my night. And I want to thank you guys for that." And Matt and I were like, wow, if that's the least we can do for people with our silliness, then so be it. Because back to what Donnie was saying earlier, if you're not making someone smile, then you're making them cry. So why not take the high road and every day try to put a smile, and what do they say? Turn that frown upside down. For someone who's having a tough day. Yeah. And but I miss those days with Matt because when you're going through tough times, as Matt was, and then eventually myself, it's those memories that you have of those times when you fight through the bad. I had it, and watching Paul D'Angelo's podcast here with Donny T a week ago reminded me of an opportunity that was so undeserved, I couldn't believe it, that Matt had set up at Maggia Restaurant on Route 1, this new digs that they're doing comedy at. I was given a guest opportunity to work with the two Pauls, Paul D'Angelo and Paul Gilligan, at a show. It was on a Thursday night, sold out dinner show. And the anticipation, it's a dream come true for me. These guys are genius. I don't belong in the same room with either one of them. They're amazing guys that I've gotten to know. They're both just great, great people. And that was on a Thursday night. The previous Friday, I was rushed to the doctor and was diagnosed with cancer, a cancer that could not wait. And if you can imagine, that was the first thing I said to them. We'll get to this next week. And they said, "No, Mr. Baker, you're not leaving the hospital. We're operating on you tomorrow morning at 5 a.m. And I never got that opportunity. But since then, I have had that opportunity to be with both of those fellas. And I respect them so much in their craft. And they're always so welcoming to me, as are the whole group that a couple of weeks ago put together this great little event since I've been gone for a couple of years. And I don't want to forget anyone, but to the likes of, Christine and Jimmy Hurley, Dave Russo and Russo on the Road, and Matt Mishy with Pinky Ring, and Chris with CPR Productions, and Tammy and Carolyn Plummer, and Pete Costello, and just the list goes on and on and on, that everyone would come out on their day out to do a show with all of my friends and family. Even my doctors were there. My cancer doctors were there, and my primary care had a table. I kind of felt weird about having a Mai Tai. I kind of got permission to do it, and I did. But you definitely know that you've done something right when you have that group around you that are willing to come out on. And you know what the crazy thing is?
Mike Clark.
Oh, and Mike Clark. What a sweetheart he is over at Giggles. I won't get into it. Mike did something very special for me as well that has touched my heart. And I've reached out to him. Matt mistakenly gave me his cell phone, which I'm sure Mike regrets and has had it changed immediately. But it tells me that I must have done something right at some point. I started off with just helping out, and if I could grab 2 minutes or 5 minutes behind these guys on a big night. But Christine Hurley sent me a text later that night and said, Jay, even though we're all here to help you and support you in your time of need, we wanted to thank you because they're all headliners. They never really get to see each other because they're all headlining shows separately, all everywhere. So it was a night for all of them to be together, and boy, did they have a good time. And they got to all be together under the same roof in the same room, thanks to, like I said, Chris and CPF and Tammy and Mean Mug Chuck and the whole group. And it was just a wonderful, wonderful time. And I'm praying that I didn't forget anyone. I brought up Maddie and everyone. I should have taken notes, but I didn't want this to be about writing notes and dictating. It's off. If anyone I forgot, everyone that was present there contributing, I love them all. And it was very special to have all of those people together. And but yeah, since then, that opportunity that was missed due to cancer, that's okay because I beat the cancer. And that's what's important. 2 weeks ago, I got my first scan that has ever come back with no cancer. And try to follow me on that. I've never had a scan in 10 years that hasn't come back without it being cancer. And this time it did. And I'm so thrilled because it's the positive attitude. People say, well, how do you do it? Well, you don't have a choice when you're going through something other than to fight it and take on a new level of what fighting means to you. And I took it to a new level by not only fighting it, but through the whole process. And it was a miserable, suffering process to try to keep people smiling. And that was my goal, not only to do it, but to make people smile, the nurses, the aides, the doctors, everyone involved. And I think I achieved that. And that was just as special as fighting and beating the cancer in itself. So anyway, enough of that, Donnie. What else is on your mind? Please, Don. You are the host.
You know what sucks? I got to tell you guys.
What's that?
This guy, I could never get a word in edgewise.
I'm sorry,
and
Donnie.
he just fucking said, Donnie, okay, I'm going to lateral the ball to you.
I put him on the spot now. I'm sorry, Donnie.
I'm never on the spot. I'm fine. You know, it's a good thing. I didn't go to his party, you know, because for there's a lot of things that happen, not just in comedy, but in anything in entertainment. There's always something that goes on with people that you really care about. And sometimes somebody gets slighted. And because you're slighted, you don't show up.
Yeah.
But doesn't mean that I didn't care.
Donnie came by a week before the event, apologizing for not being able to make it, and dropped me off a wonderful birthday card and a very generous gift. And the thing about Donnie, once again, may I continue?
Go. Please.
Is that you could put Donnie in a room full of strangers and you don't have to watch him. He's a great friend in that respect that you don't have to babysit Don. My landlord is an Armenian guy, John, and he's a great guy, 72 years old, hard worker, retired, but always doing landscaping and something going on. I introduced him to Donnie for 2 seconds, told him he was Armenian. Donnie knows the #1 singer in Armenia. I had to rush out and go do errands, and I come back, and him and Donnie are in the yard singing Armenian songs with my landlord that he met 3 minutes ago. But on that note, as I was saying to Donnie earlier, I give credit to the doctors and my own strength, but my strength only comes from God. And I give all the glory to God for my healing and my successes. None of it would be possible. I would not be here otherwise. And with that being said, I'm not a holy roller telling everyone. When I invite people to church, I always say the same thing. I don't preach to them. You're going to feel better when you leave than when you came in. And that's my only guarantee with that. But credit has to be distributed in the proper manner. Once again, Donnie.
When you got a guy like this, right? And what he's been through, he's only like scratching the surface as to what he's been through. And after a conversation with him, and you walk out the door, or whatever you're going to do, you say to yourself, thank you, God, for the life I have.
That's right.
And count your blessings always.
Right.
Always count your blessings. Because none of us, including me, none of us know what lurks around that corner.
And we're not guaranteed anything, Don, right?
No,
we're lucky to be alive.
Not at all. I've had a fortunate life. I've had my trials and tribulations. God knows that. And anybody that knows me knows that I've had shit happen in my life. And one thing I did learn, because early on in my life, I had a serious problem with anxiety and depression.
Oh, boy.
And I got over it to a point to now I can put things aside. I don't dwell on my negatives. And there are enough of them that if I did dwell on them, I would be back where I was before at the Mass General, not psych, but there was for depression and anxiety and everything. You could call it psych because it all has to do with your mind and things that happen because it's the mind is very, very difficult. And if you don't have control of it, it has control of you. And I don't want that because when it had control of me, it wasn't as kind to me as I was to me. So if that makes sense to you, you know, so, you know, and I take from people what they offer. You know, I listen to him. You know, I love this guy. He's a great guy. He's a fucking big mouth, and you can't shut him up.
Yes.
But that's okay because he doesn't hide shit from you. He's who you meet, and that's who I want for friends. You know, be who you are. Be real. Be in my face.
Did you just call me a big mouth?
Yeah, he's a fucking big mouth. Why, do I lie? I told you I don't.
I thought this was a non-swearing, non-bashing zone.
No. I can bash you, though.
Oh, okay, great.
You can bash me back.
No, you're too old. You're too old.
See what I mean?
Yeah.
See what I put up with? No, he's a great guy, and I enjoy his company. You know, he's a nice guy. And I'll tell you one thing. You got to do me one favor with these guys.
I have no idea what that could be.
He
You got
has
a spring shit on me now?
a voice for fucking radio.
I got a face for radio, too.
Yes, he does. But do that bit you just did.
No, I've been doing it for years.
Don't say no to me.
No. It's WJAY. It's all J all day, playing Northern New England's greatest hits from the 60s, 70s, and 80s. Southeasterly breezes, cumulus clouds, highs in the 40s. It's all J all day. Can you dig it?
I can dig it.
I knew that you could.
Now, does he not have a great voice radio-wise? You know, he's a good man. He's a good man.
Yeah, let's do voiceovers for anyone that needs it. I'll do cartoons and things like that. That would be fun.
Oh, there was a voiceover that you did. You had the role, and you messed it up.
What was it?
I forget.
I don't know.
Dunkin' Donuts.
What about it?
What it was advertisement for Dunks or something like that.
Oh, Donny, I had an opportunity several years ago I had a friend that owned a Honeydew. And I can't use her name. I could get in trouble for this. She owned 3 of them, so she was responsible for doing her own advertising. And she asked me to do the fall lineup on that radio station up in Beverly, off the exit in Beverly Farms. And it was for the fall pumpkin spice collection and the muffins and the lattes. And she gave me a short, it was like a 90-second thing that anyone could remember. And this is how you learn your lesson in life. You think you're a big shot. And I went in, and they weren't thrilled about my voice. The people in there anyway, because they knew I had a better voice than all of them. And I went in, and the lady asked me where the script was, and I said, the script is not necessary. And no sooner did I get into the Honeydew thing, and not 10 seconds into it, I said, America runs on Dunkin's. They told me to pick up my stuff, hit the door, and walk, and I never got another opportunity to do that again because it was so embedded in my mind. America runs on Dunkin's. And here I am doing it for Honeydew. I was supposed to say be a doer, not a dunker, and I blew it. So that was my quick career in radio broadcasting.
That's funny.
So yeah, and telling everyone that maybe I doubt I'll get another opportunity anytime soon.
I'll say something,
But-
okay? Regarding comedy, I'm not always the best audience. I don't find everybody funny. Some people I find hilariously funny. When this guy was doing comedy, okay, you haven't done any recently. have you?
No.
When he was doing it, it was very innovative, and some of the stuff he did. And at first, it was like you're almost reluctant to laugh until this guy hits notes, and you say, "Oh my God, that was funny! Oh my God, this was funny."
Well, I am not really up to speed yet as far as my healing to get back on the stage like with Maddie and Chris and all the wonderful things going on at China Blossom that
Yeah.
Chris has got going, and Matt with Pinky Ring Comedy and the Guido and all that. I'm hoping to do that. But like I said, my bedtime now is roughly between 8 and 9:30 at night, and you can't be doing comedy if you're asleep. But I will say that I've always enjoyed doing charity work the best, because if I mess up, well, then who cares? I'm doing it for free.
Yeah.
Not that there's any money in comedy at my level, there is not.
Oh, mine.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to being back on the stage, and the way I'm preparing to do so. For example, there was a charity thing we did. It was 4 years ago this month for Matt's cousin, Jace Perkins, beautiful little boy. And that's at Casa Lucia, Donny, where I met you one time. And that's going on this upcoming Friday in Revere. It's for a wonderful cause. And with that being said, Mark Pelletier and his girl Liz and the whole group up at the American Legion in Middleton have been so wonderful to me. And both Matt and the small group of people that we had going there in the past with Mad World Entertainment and Searchlight Comedy, that Mark is going to start opening up the doors for charity events, Wounded Warriors and such like that. We were doing it on the first Monday of every month, but we weren't filling the place because it was so, frequent. So now I think he's settled on a thing of doing it quarterly. So several times a year, and really packing the place. And the sweetest thing ever is when Mark visited me in the rehab. I was there for over 8 months. And Mark came and said, "Jay, we're waiting for you. We're waiting for you to do the hosting for these events," because a lot of people have hosted up there for these shows, but I did the most hosting. And if that sounds pompous, then so be it, because I loved it. And like I said, there's no pressure in charity. There's just giving.
Yeah.
And it's a wonderful place with great people, and the soldiers deserve more than we. And being coming off of a holiday weekend that we just went through with the veterans, it gets even more. It should be more recognized. Spending that time in the rehab, I spent a lot of time with seniors and with veterans that fought in wars, that raised families, that created this country. And quite frankly, I wasn't thrilled with the way they were being treated or fed or handled. And I would advocate not only for myself, but for them.
Yeah.
And because I thought they deserved more out of the later years in their life, whether they're physically impaired or not. So once again, Mark and the group up on the American Legion in Middleton on River Road are just such a great group of people that can't seem to do enough for their veterans. Now, with that being said, D'Angelo, Mitch Stinson, Jason Merrill, Gilligan, all those guys spend a lot of time at the Legions doing great things.
But
And, go ahead, Donny. Sorry.
Also, Lenny Clark has done much.
So
much.
I'm sure he
as
has.
far as charity. And Johnny Peasy.
Right, and we just got through it. What was it? Comics Came Home?
Yeah.
Which Matt and Russo did a great job with backstage with
Yeah.
interviewing people. But sorry, Don, continue.
Yeah. So Johnny Peasy has done an awful lot.
Good. Johnny's a good man.
He's a great man. He really is.
You introduced me to Johnny at Casa Lucia 4 years ago.
When you look at, I had Vinny Pazienza on. Vinny Paz.
Wow. Really?
Yeah.
On here?
Yeah. You'll see it if you look through them.
Oh, I missed that.
But what I like,
it's impressive.
I'm very impressed by fighters. You're a fighter.
No.
I am.
A fighter. Yeah, I got you.
I'm impressed by fighters. People that fight through life to get to where they have to go.
Yes.
And if they're hit with a fastball inside, boom, they have to defend it. And he is a fighter. I love that about this guy. There's a
Thank
lot
you,
of
Don.
people that cannot fight,
Well, people need to know this too, Donnie. It's like we were discussing before the show. When you're not given a choice but to give up or fight,
Yeah.
I believe that most people in them have another level
Yep.
that they can reach down and dig to in order to rise above. Now, that's not to say that people who do that always are successful in that.
No.
I had to go through that, and there's been many of those hurdles. Some I
Yeah.
didn't think I could overcome,
Yeah.
and there's down days.
Yeah.
But if your attitude is right and the people around you are right and you have good support from your family, friends, and by God above, I
Yeah.
say it again, I hate to be that way, but only by the grace of God that you can fight. And if given an opportunity, you can really punch through it, then there's the true blessing.
You had said to me, and you may have said it during your conversation on here, you had no choice but to
Right.
fight. That was what you had.
I mean, you're not going to lay down and die.
And my son, I had a son that he had a heart problem,
Sorry.
and he had 4 heart operations.
Oh, Lord.
And I said to him one day, Eric, how do you do it, son?
Mm.
He said, Dad, I don't have a choice.
Right.
And it's the truth. He had no choice. He fought a good fight.
Mm.
You know, we were told not to get attached to him at the age of 2 weeks old.
Oh, my word.
Yeah. And he lasted to the age of 39.
Wow.
Yeah. And
I did not know that.
yeah, a lot
That's
of
a
people
great
don't.
story, Don.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it's not just a story, it's life. And
Right.
that's one of the things I don't dwell on. But every once in a while, he comes to visit me in my heart and in my head, and when he visits me in a dream, every once in a while, there's nothing more uplifting
Mm.
because it's him visiting me. And, you can almost hear his words. He was the best kid in the world. He was a wonderful kid. And I got my son, Sean, my son, Dan, that lives in Virginia. And, I've heard people, in fact, I got Eddie coming on Thursday night. We're working on something that I think you guys are going to like. It's going to take us back, to back in the day. But we're working on something. And Eddie always says, wow, Donny, I've never seen anybody be like that with their kids. What a sacrifice it was for you to do that. And I raised my son, Eric, alone.
Wow.
Yeah. And he says, Donny, you put everything you wanted on a shelf until later in life.
Yeah.
Who does that for their kids? What a sacrifice. And I always say the same thing.
What's that?
To me, it's not a sacrifice. The sacrifice would have been being without my kids and not being there for them. And how could I look in the mirror at myself and say, Donny, you had an opportunity to be with your kids. What's better than that?
That's another opportunity of you had no choice but to fight that fight.
That's right. Well, I had choices.
Well, but what
I
type
see
of
guys
father
do-
would you be?
I know,
mean,
but I see guys do that all the time.
yeah,
They reject their kids.
That's a
Mothers
shame.
too, not just fathers. I see that happen, and
that's heavy, man.
yeah, it's beyond heavy. Yeah, it really is. And those are the things that I know. One night, not long ago, I told a story about my sister, which I'm not going to elaborate on, but you people that watch it know how much it tormented me. And those are the things that I don't dwell on, because if I dwell on it, I'm back at Tilton 1 and Tilton 2. That's in the Mass General Hospital. But I got a good story about that too. I was doing theater at the time, and I was given a role. It was a thing you read. It's a script read. Instead of memorizing the words, I would rather memorize, much as I hate doing that. But I was with this guy, who was a psychiatrist, one of the actors, everybody there had some kind of thing going on. One of the guys, a big guy, he was roommates with James Dean. Yeah, and he said to me, he said, "You should play Kowalski. You should play Kowalski," which is what was the name of the movie? I forget the name of the movie.
The Big Lebowski?
No.
What are you talking about?
No.
Oh, on the waterfront?
No, the other one.
Marlon Brando?
Streetcar Named Desire.
How would I know that?
Well, because you're old too. Well,
No.
You're getting to be old. I'm old.
Don.
Anyway, here's what happened.
Please.
That day, that afternoon. Now, here's a guy that I just dropped out of a college tour because of my nerves, because of everything that was going on. My head was not my own. And we go to this, what are the root beer place they call it? What's it?
Donny.
Anyway, A&W root beer.
Oh.
And they used to have like little diners. And we went in there and we're all sitting around. And I see this guy sitting across from me. He was one of the cast members. And this is the first play that I had done in a while since I had that depression problem. And I said to him, "Wow, you look familiar to me." He says, "No, you wouldn't know me." I don't know. I said, "I'm not good with names, but I never forget faces. You look familiar to me. Let me ask you a question. What do you do for a living?" He says, "Well, I'm a psychiatrist at Mass General Hospital."
Oh.
I said, "You gotta be fucking shitting me."
Donny.
Where? He said, "Tilton 1 and Tilton 2. That's where I was. And I said, I looked at him, I said, "It's you, Dr. Abrams. You were my caseworker when I first came in to tell you my story." And he looks at me and I says, I go like this, I throw my hands up, I say, "I'm cured! I'm cured!" And he laughed, because really it felt like I got around it. I got over the fence and now I was, I could face reality again. So,
Right. Well, that's a hurdle. And he was helpful to you.
yes, he was. Because of the situation that my guy has to get home. He has to get home. He's
I don't have to get anywhere. But,
no, but he has to get home because I want him the hell out of here. I've had enough of him for one night. I love you guys. You know that.
Thank you, everyone, for
you mean everything to me, and
thank you, Donny T. I appreciate you.
Yeah,
Donny's been very, very supportive, and if Donny's got a great ear, so as much as I talk, Donny has a great ear for listening, and he's always there if I'm having a down moment when I pick up, when he picks up the phone when I call. And if he can be there for me, he can be there for you if you're in need. And if you call Donny to your friend, then you have a friend that's really there for you. And it means a lot. And thank you all for this time. I don't think it was the funniest segment that Donny's had. It was a little too emotional. But nonetheless, we got a lot out. And that's what's important, is that we all got to talk and we got to vent and get our things done, and I got to thank some people that deserved it.
The theme is,
and by the way, to my family, thank you, all of you.
The theme of this show was count your blessings.
Yes.
Smile, look at yourself in the mirror and say, "Wow, I'm a pretty lucky man."
And you're happy you're alive. Be happy to be alive.
So with that said, God bless you guys.
God bless everyone. Have a good night.
I love you. Make sure you tune in on Thursday, because it's going to be a lot different. You'll like it. Eddie and I are working on something, and you will love it. God bless.
Good night, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Okay, we did.